Hello, we are inside the Sherman Playhouse. Actually, we are inside a dressing room, which is usually the female dressing room, but it's for anything at this point, especially an interview that I could catch on the fly for Priscilla Squiers. Hi, Priscilla.
Hey.
Thanks for joining me and giving me this opportunity to do this. We have a show coming up in the fall called Faith Healer, and directed by her husband, and that's Kyle Miner, and two other actors are in it, and so it'll be a full-fledged production. But I wanted to chat with Priscilla. I used to do Inside the Sherman Playhouse with other people, and I miss it actually. It's still on our website, so we'll throw this up there as well. Going back, I think about 10 years, and I just wanted to check in with her, which I never heard her story as far as her career. And we're going to start with kindergarten. I'm kidding. We're going to start.
Well, I can tell you about Homer Price and the Donut Machine. That was my first play in fourth grade.
Okay, that wasn't a kid that you hung out with.
No.
Okay. All right, then we can start with that. But let's go college. And I think that's probably when you decided to get moving on this idea of being on the stage, et cetera, et cetera. So go right ahead and let us know about that.
Well, sure. I was very fortunate to be involved with theater in high school, actually down in Norwalk, Connecticut. And one of my schoolmates was Jody Bear, who's done things here.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, she and I were about a year apart, but she did a lot of the big musicals, and I was hoofing in the background. She did the title role, I remember, in No No Nanette. She was wonderful.
Wow.
And
We haven't seen that in a while.
Tap dance down the stairs.
Nice.
So anyway, but we had a great high school program, I have to say, and that was in the late 70s. So
okay.
That was great.
Yeah.
From there, I went to Bowdoin College up in Brunswick, Maine,
Okay.
and they now have a full-fledged theater and dance program and a major. But at the time I was there, they had a theater program, but it wasn't a major. So I still, pursued my love of theater and got to do a lot of wonderful things there. But my majors were religion, the academic study of religion, and French language and literature.
Oh, wow.
So I got to do a little bit of both. But in college, it was great. Our theater director was this wonderful guy named Ray Rattan. He was MFA from Yale in scenic design.
Nice.
But he'd done a lot of stuff, and he got us started right away on some really interesting things. By fall of my freshman year, we did this adaptation of a Nathaniel Hawthorne story called The Scarecrow by Percy MacKay.
Oh.
And the reason they chose Nathaniel Hawthorne is because he went to Bowdoin back in the day.
Right.
So we did that. It was wonderful, full-length play, basically about a scarecrow who comes to life and learns about all the foibles and problems of being a full-fledged human and decides that it's not for him. But I get to play the love interest.
Oh, there you go.
But the fellow who played the scarecrow is a wonderful actor named Philip Goodwin, who went on and got his MFA and did stuff at the Folger and did stuff in New York later on. But
nice.
I can say, I knew you back when. We got to go to the American College Theater Festival with that.
Right.
And we made it through the regionals. But it was a great experience.
When you came to Much Ado, you said you were in that. Was that college?
Yeah, I think, but I no, Much Ado. No, I was in As You Like It.
Oh, you were in
As You Like It, and that was later. Yeah.
All right. So that it wasn't college.
Yeah, so it was it was a great experience. And another play was student directed. I did Murder in the Cathedral in a chapel.
Nice.
That was great.
Yeah.
And we did just very kind of interesting things. We did Two Gentlemen of Verona, the musical.
Oh, yeah.
Written by the author of Hair, Galt McDermott, and with a book by John Guare and lyrics by John Guare.
Oh.
And that was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But, a little bit of this and that. I got to do Glass Menagerie. I did a production of Wojciech.
Nice.
It was very eclectic, but I enjoyed it very much.
So did you find that you could manage all this with your kind of double major going on?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, you could kind of pick and choose, but there was always something going on just about every semester.
Right.
And you could dive as deep as you wanted to.
Right.
But as most of us find, you make great friends in theater, and many of the folks I met in college are still my friends.
Right.
And we've kept up over the years. But it was a great experience. From there, I thought I was going to go on. I did go on to get my master's and moved to Boston, and went to divinity school at Harvard.
Okay. Oh, wow.
But I think I burned out after a while. It was funny. The person I was dating at the time, he was going to be a lawyer, and so I didn't even do any theater during that time, which was very interesting. Okay. So when I finally moved back to Connecticut, my folks had retired and moved away. I got settled and started working at the Darien Dinner Theater, which was a professional theater in Darien. It was around for, gosh, I don't know how long, maybe almost 20 years, 15, 20 years. But it was started by Morton DaCosta, who was the original director of Music Man, did the movie, but he and a group of investors put this theater together. And of course, dinner theater back in the day was the thing to do. So when I went there to work, I was working on the business side of things. So I did group sales and marketing. We brought in about 400 buses a year.
Wow.
It was union on stage, IATSE backstage, and union in the pit. So it was a pretty expensive production. But we had great people. We had Alan Jones came in to do a couple of operettas. We had Harve Presnell did Man of La Mancha. It wasn't all like, stars like summer stock thing, but we did get some really great people. And the New York people who came in thought it was, pretty much a local job.
Right. Is that still there?
No, it's become a church. It's a mega church now.
Really? Wow.
It went out of business in 1990.
Usually goes the other way around.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then I worked at Boston Poets Road Stage Company, which was actually then was Fairfield County Stage Company. That was at Westport Country Playhouse. And then eventually I moved on to Gateway's Candlewood Playhouse, which was the old Candlewood Playhouse.
Right.
And then from there, I just moved over into doing fundraising for the Nature Conservancy, which kind of related to acting.
Sure.
So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I get to meet with donors and kind of bring scientific information to them and present it in a compelling way.
Right.
So
there you go. So going, are you still involved in that job at this point?
No, I've kind of wound down from that, fortunately, but it was a great experience for me. I was there for 21 years. And then as our kids were getting older, I knew it was time to kind of step back. And as I was winding down that job, I was finding more time to do what I really love to do, which is theater.
Right.
So that's been great.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to say favorite roles, but ones that challenged you.
Oh, well, yeah, lots of them. But ones that come to mind in particular, the first time I ever did a one-person show, that was the Belle of Amherst. I did it, in the late 1990s. I'd never, ever done anything like that before. It was really challenging, but a beautifully written play. And it was wonderful to get that under my belt. And actually, after I did that, I said, I'm not going to be as frightened to take on a role that has that much, while you're on stage by yourself, or just having to be responsible for that much of a play. But other favorite ones have been Master Class, which I did in Westport in the late, was like 2007 or 8. And then I got to do Souvenir, which is really a wonderful play about Florence Foster Jenkins, the woman who sings off key.
Right.
Meryl Streep made a movie about her, but
this
play, Judy Kay did it on Broadway. It's really quite wonderful. It's called a Fantasia on Florence Foster Jenkins, which is the woman's name. She was a socialite who loved singing, and she had no idea how poorly she sang or just how underpitched she was.
I remember the play, yeah.
So it's a wonderful two-person play, and the other person in the play is Cosme McMoon, who's just such a great name. But he was her real-life music director, and she was, at this point in her life, she was probably in her late 50s, early 60s when she was getting started in the 1940s or so.
Right. Now you're a fantastic singer. Did that start in college or high school?
Oh,
Or?
I think I probably, yeah,
Yeah.
I used to sing and play guitar,
Okay.
back in the era of folk music in the
Sure. Yeah.
70s, and I always sang in choir and stuff. So
Right.
I've
Okay.
always enjoyed doing that. But as far as getting into musical theater, I mean, I was always I would be in the chorus in high school, but I think I kind of found my own voice in
Mhm.
college, and then
Okay.
had the opportunity to do a bunch of musical roles.
Right. So you have done professional equity as far as?
I've done I'm
Yeah.
not equity, but I've
Okay.
done a number of equity shows.
Right.
I did several productions with a company called Rainbow Theater, and they were in Norwalk, and they were run by the wonderful character actor Stefan Schnabel and his
Mhm.
wife Marion, and they did like really intense stuff. Like they did Duramat's The Physicist. They did what else did we do? We did Mrs. Warren's Profession, and I
Mhm.
played Vivi. That was great. We did a really strange original play
Mm.
called At the Wire's Edge about all these women in a concentration camp. So it was a great opportunity to work with them. I enjoyed that, and I
Right.
did a couple things at the schoolhouse in Croton. I did the Mundi Scheme. Kyle was in that too. That was
Mhm.
another Brian Friel play about a group of people selling burial plots in Western Ireland to Americans.
Okay.
It was really fun. And then I did another play for them called The Steward of Christendom, and that was taken from the playwright's kind of from history of his grandfather, I guess, who'd been active in Dublin as a chief of police in like the early 20s, and so it talks a little bit about the troubles in Ireland and all. So
Segue.
yeah.
Hey. I didn't write that. So we got there. Talk about Faith Healer a bit. 3 monologues. You obviously have one of them. The 2 other actors. Give a synopsis of the plot. You don't have to go crazy with that. And then what your monologue is about, what the contribution there is.
Sure. Well, it's Brian Friel. For folks who may know, they may be familiar with Dancing at Lunasa, which is probably one of his most famous, I should say, plays, and is also one of my favorites. I've worked on that play twice. But Faith Healer is really interesting because it really is about memory, intensity of feeling, and also how reliable a memory might be.
Mhm.
You're meeting Frank, who is the faith healer, and at the time it's pretty much set maybe late 30s to the 40s into the early 50s, and he is a healer with an unreliable gift. Sometimes he's successful, sometimes he's not. But he and his wife Grace, and that's the role I play, and his manager Teddy tour the hinterlands. I mean, they are,
Right.
we understand that he is from Ireland, Frank is from Ireland, and he talks about Grace as being maybe from Cornwall. We're not really sure, but then when we hear her, she may be from Ireland. Again, we're not sure. So you really get the opportunity to hear the perspectives on the story from the 3 different monologists. So
Right.
you have to kind of figure who am I going to believe here. But anyway, they tour. They have there's a lot of history, a lot of difficult things happen during their time, and some of this revolves around different perspectives on one event that happens. Well, actually, at least 1 or 2 significant events that happen. So you hear Frank's perspective on it, then you hear Grace's perspective, and then you end up with Teddy's perspective. He's the manager, and then it wraps up with Frank, kind of bookends the whole play with his perspective. But I don't want to give too much away. But it's so beautifully written, and just like with anything, when you talk about people, eyewitnesses not always having reliable memories, even though they were there. And this is kind of what I think Friel explores, because there's so much that is going to be altered or flavored by their current situation. Right. So I think it's really, I mean, when somebody hears, oh gosh, 3 monologues, 4 monologues, it really, it really is something that draws you in because it's wonderful storytelling.
Right.
And I think the richness of the language, even if they're talking about a very devastating or traumatic incident, as they do in several places, you are drawn in because you are right there in the moment with the character.
Right. I looked it up, and and there's other Brian Friel plays that, I mean,
Molly Sweeney is
right.
another
I mean,
one.
but these A-lister actors, especially the Irish ones, are dying, especially Faith Healer, are dying to do this. You
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah, and it was recently revived, and there was another revival that Cherry Jones did. I think the interesting thing is that when it first came to New York, it had James Mason
Okay.
as Frank, and Donald Donnelly
Okay.
was, I think he was the original Teddy,
Right.
the original manager, and the woman who played Grace, I'm not remembering at the moment.
Right. Sherman Playhouse is putting this on. I think it's right environment for this, because we have some beautiful lighting that we can do. We have some set design that we can manipulate. So I think it's going to be very evocative of what Mr. Friel was trying to do. Your experience at Sherman Playhouse, give me a few shows.
Oh, sure. The first one I ever did here was Jane Farnell's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I remember the photo of that. Yeah.
And Adam Battlestein played Oberon. I was
Okay.
Titania.
Yeah.
And Jessica Durdock Moreno, who was recently artistic director here for a while, she played Puck.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Viv Berger, I think Chris Marker. I know he was in an earlier production of Midsummers. I'm not sure if he was in this one. But a lot of people that are still in the area. That was a great experience. And then we also took it from Sherman. We brought it down to Katona, to an outdoor location, and did it down there.
Nice.
But I've done Wreck the Halls, the Naughty Christmas Show of Brad's. I've done it here several times, and we'll do it here again this December.
Good. Yep.
I did Chalk Garden here.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's probably another one I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. Oh, and I also did the Durang series, which is how I met. I was reunited with Bruce Treadwell, who I've done several shows with before and several musicals.
Right.
But I should mention that the other actors in Faith Healer are Bruce Treadwell, who's playing Teddy, the manager, and Matt Bogan, who I first met doing Sweeney Todd in 2011. And he's wonderful. He was in the area for a long time, and then his job took him to the Folger. He does IT generally in museum settings, and he was at the Folger for a number of years, and then moved down to Nashville with his family, where he's at the Frisk Museum, and now he's back up in the area, which is our benefit.
Of course.
He's working for the Center for British Art.
Right, and he's going to be coming off of Lear, right?
He's just finished King Lear at Curtin Call in Stamford.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So feel very fortunate.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you taking the time.
You bet.
To chat with us, and I never knew Priscilla's backstory, which I'm psyched to hear about. I was really interested because a lot of Tyler Holm did not major in theater, and he's a fantastic actor. And I like the fact that some of these people, major in French or religion and something like that, and they do the theater we'll say on the side, and then they're fantastic at that. And I think it's the influence of and the discipline of the other majors.
Well, I do, and I think it's just an exposure to the liberal arts, and I think it also gives you an idea that you don't have to necessarily train for something right from the beginning, that you have to have some breadth of knowledge to explore things and to understand scripts and stuff. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Priscilla.
Yay,
and
thank
we'll
you.
see you at the show.
See you. We open September 19th.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.